Hey there, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Chapter 12. It's the final chapter of the year. Yay! Super duper exciting. All right, so today we're talking about samples and studies. This is the beginning of us being a stats classes, or this is just the statistics part of the year. So our goal is to make sure you know all the key vocab and being able to identify those things. There's not a whole lot of actual math taking place with this lesson. We're not going to calculate things. We are just going to be using our vocab words. So we need to know what a population is. So a population is something that consists of all of the members of our group. And then a sample is just a smaller chunk of that group. Or math terms, a subset selected to represent the population. Now we have three different types of data collection techniques. You're going to want to write these things down and probably the stuff that we already scrolled through. So we have the technique of just doing a survey. That's when we just collect data from a sample population. There's an observational study. That's when we just watch things. And then there's an experiment where we actually do things to get our data. So survey is you hand out a piece of paper and ask some questions. Observational, you just watch and then you see what they're doing to get data. Then experiment is to actually do something in order to get that data to collect. So those are our types of data collections. So here's our very first example. Looks like I have my fat head in the way, so let me move some stuff here real quick like. So I'm going to take and move these words down. All right, here we are, moving. All right, so here's example number one. It says each day a department store chain selects one male and one female shopper randomly from each of its 57 stores and asks them survey questions about their shopping habits. Our job is to identify the sample and determine the population from which it was selected. So the sample is going to be the one male and one female person from each of the 57 stores. And then our population is just going to be all people who shop at those 57 stores. It would be all people who shop. So that's all of the people who they could have potentially selected. Now, part B is to classify the type of data collection used by the department store. This one should be really super duper easy because it says it. It says that they did a survey. So this would be our survey. They did a collecting data by doing a survey. And that's kind of what this lesson's about, or at least this part of the lesson is doing these kinds of things. Now there's more vocab for us. We have things that are termed as a biased sample. A biased sample is when we have a sample that favors one group over another group. And looks like my computer's being super duper slow and didn't even catch me highlighting. Okay, so I'll try again. So if you are biased, you favor one thing over another thing. So like in my family, I always tell my mom that she is biased because she has her favorite child, my older brother Doug. So she's biased towards him, is the way I always say it. It's kind of funny. A random sample is not biased. It's just where every single person has an equal, keyword here is equal probability of being chosen. So if we were just to draw popsicles like you guys did in elementary school, you have an equal chance as everybody else does of getting selected for that question that your teacher's asking you about. All right, so let's do this information. Again, my fat head's in the way, so I got to move stuff down. The first one here says, student council surveys the students in one classroom to decide the theme for the spring dance. So we do our luau. Is this biased or unbiased? Well, this one is totally biased. It's biased because they only talk to one class. Maybe that one class has a certain group of kids who want to do everything with Hawaii because they just got back from Hawaii. So then we have a Hawaii dance and it costs $5 to get in, and now you got a free vacation to Hawaii for $5. Or Here's our next one, part B. The PTA surveys every 5th student to decide whether to hold a fundraiser. This one is unbiased because each person has an equally likely chance of being that 5th person. If they just walk in line, there's a chance that they could be the 5th one. We don't know when they started. So that is an unbiased survey. All right, here's our different types of random samples. Here's more things to write down. If you need to hit pause, hit that pause button. There are 3 types that we want to be aware of. The first one is just a simple random sample. This sample is the one that we use where everyone has an equally likely chance of being picked. And that's just randomly picked. A stratified random sample is when we take our group, our population, and we divide it first into a smaller group and then randomly pick people. And then our systematic random sample is when there's some sort of a system. Like the previous example, it said every 5th person, or maybe if it was every 5 minutes somebody gets picked. If there's some sort of a system that helps you to decide how the person is getting picked, that is the systematic random sample. So here's our example involving that information. And again, I got to move things out of the way here. A neighborhood is divided into blocks. Then 3 residents are selected from each block for a survey on hours of operation for the community pool. Our job is to identify the sample and then suggest a population from which it was selected. So our sample will be the people who get picked. So the people who were picked for the survey. That's our sample. Now, the population would be everybody in the neighborhood. So our population could be all people, I'm going to abbreviate kind of a little bit, in the neighborhood. Neighborhood. All right. Now, step B here says to classify the sample as a simple, a stratified, or systematic. Now, I am going to say that this is a stratified group because we broke the large neighborhood into just 3, or into blocks, and then 3 residents were picked from each one. So I'm calling this stratified because we took the large neighborhood and we broke it into a smaller group of blocks, and then we took people from there. And that's how I know it is a stratified group, because you take the whole thing and then you break it up. Now, hopefully you're finding this information to be super duper easy. The next lesson is going to involve a heck of a lot more math. So make sure that you're tuned in here, folks. This is one of our last lessons of the year. Got to dial in before we take those finals. So this is the Burma Nation. I am signing off. Have a wonderful rest of your day.